Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
Do you like to get high?
Only when I play.
I like to get high on life. I mean, thanks for asking.
I'm Adam Maness,
And I'm Peter
and
Martin.
you're listening to the You'll Hear It podcast.
Daily jazz and acceptable medical advice coming at... No,
Nah.
it's not. Just daily jazz advice coming at you.
Yeah, that's right.
We're a little scared about this, right?
We're a little trepidatious. This is a speak pipe from Terry.
Yeah, I haven't heard this. You've heard it, though,
I've
right?
heard it. It's been
I
a
haven't
minute
heard it.
because I've been burying it, but you saw it and it caught
I
your
saw
eye.
it.
So
I said maybe we got something to add on this.
we're gonna live our life not in a terrified way of horrible questions. We're gonna lean into the discomfort.
Right.
You ready?
Okay.
All right.
Hey, Adam, Pete, this is Terry. Wanted to just let you know first that your topics over the last few weeks have been incredible, very interesting and helpful. So thanks for everything you're doing. I just wanted to quickly ask you about your thoughts and experiences dealing with the historical sense that drugs and creativity have had with jazz. We've lost a lot of jazz greats over the years. You know who they are. Don't need to name them. But didn't know if today you would kind of say that the music genre and the world of jazz in particular still has that mindset that using drugs, taking drugs while you're playing adds to creativity. I've heard some musicians kind of say that, but not so much in recent times. Anyway, just curious on your experiences of how drug use and performing, what you see, what you hear, what you think about that these days. Thanks, and keep up the great work. Thank you very much.
That's a great question, Terry. Thanks for sending that in. First of all, you sound exactly like a jazz pianist named Hal Galper, so you might want to YouTube Hal Galper. I'm sure you don't look like him, but you sound exactly like him.
YouTube or even just Google image. I'm going to do that. Oh, that's right. Yeah, he does sound like him, and he looks like him too. Terry looks. Oh, no, we don't know that.
We have no
But
idea.
he sounds like he might.
It's a great question. I don't know about your experiences with drugs as you perform, but for me, it's never something that I've done. Like I'm not like a weed guy ever.
Right.
Really, like I.
But that's not the only kind of drug.
No, it definitely is not. I mean, and I've definitely, lived my fair share of life, but it's not something that I've ever been into. And I know a ton of musicians where it's not something they have ever been into, and I've known a ton of musicians that have struggled. And
Yeah.
I honestly think it's more. It's more like it's not. It's not. I should say not more. It's not any more prevalent in music or jazz than it is amongst plumbers, or you know what I mean, or
Right.
like anybody, like the general population. Like there was a comedian, who was it? It was like someone was talking about the NFL, right? And like, the trouble that like, various NFL stars get into,
Yeah.
and they're like, as opposed to what? Carpenters, like,
Right,
you know what I
right,
mean?
right,
Like
right.
the percentage is about the same. Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I would imagine that it's just because some very famous jazz musicians have notoriously had their lives wrecked by substance abuse.
Right.
But it's no more than the general population.
Yeah, I certainly don't think now. I'm not super well versed in the history of this, but, just because I wasn't around, you hear different stories. Obviously, the lives of several prominent jazz musicians. I'm thinking Charlie Parker, Dexter Gordon. People that have been in like movies where there's been a Hollywood version of
Billie Holiday,
where they really play up. Like, to me, it never really rung true that drugs were as big of a part of their life as, especially the really hard stuff, that they wanted to portray them to be. And then hearing from some personal accounts from older musicians that I got a chance to be around, that kind of confirmed it. Not to say that there hasn't been, terrible addiction and, substance abuse, as you say, just like with other fields and just people in general. I mean, it's an epidemic at different times and in different ways. And we can't do it with too broad of strokes, I think, though, because you talk about alcohol,
Dude.
you talk about marijuana, I mean, all these different things, they're different, but there's the whole addictive side of things.
But also, there's no consistency. It's not like, if you're a terrible drunk or addicted to smack, it makes you a more creative person.
No,
there's no evidence that that's true
the part
at
that
all.
I think, and that's what I think is like has been Hollywoodized in
Right.
a way that I think is very non-productive and just untrue.
Right. Like you think you have to be Jackson Pollock or Jim Morrison or something to live a creative lifestyle. This is not
Right.
the case at all.
Now I did, you hear about some younger musicians coming up, especially like kind of during the bebop era, that really I idolized and lionized, Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie and these different musicians. And maybe some of them were using certain drugs, and then the younger musicians were like, oh, in order to do that, I've got to do that, which is unfortunate if that happened. But I mean, I would think just by the nature, and I'm trying to remember if I've even been around. I mean, I guess I've been around it a little bit. I've definitely never seen anybody like doing better, certainly when they're drinking.
No.
That we've been around probably too much.
Yeah.
And then maybe participated in a little here and there where, like I had some drinks and they got up to play and was like.
It's never a good idea.
It's never a good idea. Whatever inhibitions you think you're getting over, what you're losing in accuracy and execution.
You can do one drink, and that's my kind of limit
Yeah.
if I'm playing, because I can't do more than that without losing quality.
Yeah, no, same with me. And I think that's just really not. I mean, look, playing this music, it requires so much mentally, and not just like kind of mental math. There's that part about it, but just, I think it's a mental thing in terms of like the amount of brain power you have to put even towards creativity.
Agreed.
That's not just from your heart, that's from your brain, it's from everything. And so if you're impaired in any way, I mean, if you're really good, you can still sound pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
You can get away with things that somebody that's not as good just kind of on autopilot if you've been drinking or smoking or something, but you're never going to be as good. I mean, you could never convince me that somebody's better when they're taking any kind of substance than they would be otherwise, because that would suggest that their creativity, their genius playing or whatever it is, doesn't come from it comes from the substance abuse and not from the skills that they have and the passion that they have and what they've developed. And that would never make sense to me. I mean, Billie Holiday was not an amazing artist because she was tortured soul and all these things. Some of those things may have been true, and she certainly went through a lot. And the other side of this is like, we got to look at like the cultural implications on these musicians that society put on,
for sure,
as opposed to actually having that a connection with the music.
For sure,
excelling at something where you are being placed into situations that you are not socially accepted. I mean, like, the whole thing of like Miles Davis is in New York, and we think, okay, New York in the 50s and 60s was so progressive.
No, you got
only compared to Alabama.
Yeah, but I mean, he still got butted in the nose in front of a village, the club in the village. Like,
and he's like, oh no, that's my name on here. They're like, move along, and he's like, that's my name.
Incredible.
Here.
Yeah.
So that would drive me to drink. That's for sure.
I agree with all that. I agree that it's more of a we have to look at the broader cultural circumstances that these artists were under at the time. Then jazz plus heroin equals good. Like, that's just ridiculous.
And then certain drugs, because they were used by minorities, was criminalized in a way. I mean, there was like cocaine was legal because it was like and look, I'm getting way beyond my pay rate here, but I know like the song doesn't give me the cocaine is part of there was certain usage of, wasn't cocaine in the original Coca-Cola?
Yes, that's the rumor. I'm sure there's some modern jackass in there somewhere, but that is the rumor.
Right.
But man, I think to Terry's broader point, like, I would say that it's proven out even more so today than ever. I mean, if you think about some of the great names of our time. I mean, I was even just watching like little young Jacob Collier's Tiny Desk. There's no way that guy's on any kind of like, he's high on life for sure.
Oh man, you got me scared. I thought you were gonna be like, that guy's a crackhead.
But how can you get more creative than that thing?
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
I don't.
Actually, I have a list here of musicians that I personally know that are drug addicts.
Let's call them out.
Is this a good time?
Yeah. Who you got?
Jacob?
No, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't think the two go hand in hand at all. In fact, I think the idea that you need to alter your state at all to be creative is counterproductive.
Yeah.
And I think most of us get up and go to work.
Yeah.
And work on our art and work on our craft, and that's how 99% of, and then all those people are people. So now some of them are alcoholics, some of them are drug addicts. But 99% of
now
that's all
I
they
do
wanna
think that maybe it seems like we encounter in the creative world, especially at the higher levels of maybe creativity and artistry, you do get people with sort of addictive personalities.
Of course.
That can fall, if you're not careful, like if you don't channel it the right way, it's very easy for that to be, go in the direction of a substance or something.
But any more than attorneys or doctors, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's just there's
being
certain
around too many attorneys makes me want to drink.
no,
man.
but I think there are just as you become more successful, there are pressures that people put on themselves and coping mechanisms, whether it's smack. I don't know why I keep saying smack, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's heroin. It's black tar heroin. That's just another term I just threw.
Really?
No, I have no idea what any of those things are.
One of my kids asked me the other day, they were like, meth, do you smoke it or inject or something?
Yes.
I mean, my kids are not young, but they weren't asking like because they want to do it. But I realized I didn't even know. I felt like such a nerd. I'm like, I don't know. How do you take meth? However the hell you can do it.
Yeah.
Well, you're from High Ridge. I thought maybe at least you.
I believe you smoke it.
You smoke it.
I
like
believe
out of a pipe.
so, but I've never
Yes,
smoked meth.
Meth does not seem big in the jazz community. None of these things really do. But actually, so. In all the years I've been playing jazz, I'm trying to even think. Maybe I'm just unaware.
Honestly, what's big in the jazz community right now? Mountain Dew. I see a lot of Mountain Dew being
Diet Mountain Dew. Yeah. No, I've it's been so rare that I've encountered any kind of hard drug usage, if ever, that I've actually seen or heard. I mean, I guess you hear about something, but I mean, like musicians that I've worked with or being on the scene or whatever. Yeah. It's not like I've ever gone to rehearsal and there's like a bale of meth or however it's organized.
Again, if you were in finance, would you see more or less? You know what I mean? It's like I feel like it gets a bad rap just because of the legendary figures that have died too young from drug use. There's so many musicians, not just in jazz either, like Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain. Like
well, it's also changed.
Amy Winehouse.
It's changed a lot since like when we came up in the jazz world 50 years ago. Thankfully. But,
yeah. I mean, I just numb with food at this point, so.
Yeah, well, keto for life. Well, good. Well, speaking of being addicted to things, we have some people that are addicted to the
That's
You'll
the greatest segue in the history of the show.
We have people that are addicted to the You'll Hear It podcast. Wow, I didn't think it was that funny. For real?
So awkward. It's so good.
Speaking of addiction, are you addicted to the You'll Hear It podcast? Then join us at the premium.
It, dude.
You know what? We shouldn't even call it. We should call this the crackhead level. You'll hear it.
Now that is insensitive.
Is it to who? To crackheads? No, this is. You'll hear it premium. This is for.
We'll give you the first episode for free.
Of course. And if you don't pay us for the next episode, we're going to come kill you.
Oh, my gosh.
No, this is really for... This is the kind of good addiction. This is not the bad addiction. This is if you can't get enough. Now, we're pumping these bad boys out every day. None of that ends, right? Well, legally, it may all come crashing down today.
After this episode
due to some things that we said. But other than that...
Andrew, take care of us in the edit.
Leave as is. No, this is our brand new program. We just launched it like yesterday, and we've got people jumping on at our charter level. I'm always excited about charter membership level because this is what we're hoping we'll do is kind of attract our long-time listeners, folks that really have been with us for the entire ride.
For sure.
And want just a little bit of the extras. We're going to do the episodes at the piano. We've already done a couple that are going to be available to the members.
They're up there now.
Oh, they're up there now.
Yeah,
so they're already
go
available.
Check them out.
Bonus episodes, access to the full archive, which I couldn't imagine anybody ever wanting because we have so many. But then I realized some people were talking about going on a road trip. It's summertime, and they're like, I want to load up on a bunch of episodes, but I've listened to everything. So this gives you the ability to go all the way back in time to our humble beginnings. Back in 2018 when we didn't have the Shure microphones, but we had some pretty good microphones. So you can hear how the whole thing started, get all those episodes that are no longer available on the regular feed. Of course, support the podcast. Support Andrew, our producer. This dude has been asking for raises weekly.
Andrews aren't cheap.
Andrews
you
are
think
not
Andrews
cheap.
grow on cheese?
No, they do not. And he has, I was going to say he has an advanced addiction to drugs that needs to be fed, but that would not be true, actually. Did you know that?
No, but Jelly Bellies are not cheap.
Jelly Bellies.
We got to keep them in good Jelly Bellies.
Yeah. And we got a bunch of surprises coming up. We're going to do some giveaways and this is going to be for premium members only. Some exclusive Q&As. That's going to be fun. I even want to get the staff. I want to do a Q&A at some point with Andrew, because I know folks are always asking some of the questions that we get are actually more on the production side, so I thought that would be fun.
That'd be great.
Early access to content, behind the scenes stuff. We're going to do some bloopers. The bloopers are kind of built into the show at this point. Maybe we'll have some other ones.
The bloopers
And the
are
Speed
the
Pop
show.
Guideline, the You'll Hear It swag. Go check it out at you'llhearit.com. You can hear all about it. Join us as a charter member of the You'll Hear It Podcast Premium.
Love
Anything else?
That'll do it.
All right.
Tomorrow.
You'll hear it. Non superior.
Regulare.